Welcome to our program on immigration and you. I am your immigration attorney Michael Fulwani. Once again, my partner David Nachman is still on a vacation traveling, so he couldn't be here today. But we have with us my other partner, Lutka Zimocek. She's also an attorney, part of the NPC law group, and I requested Lutka. She said she's more than happy to speak with our ITV and Vision Avesha viewers today. So, welcome. And she has many years of experience and a lot of things she knows that she can share with on this program today.
Namaste.
Thank you. Now, by the way, thank you very much for the namaste. Namaste to you also. I hope that in the coming months you learn some more Hindi and Gujarati and you can talk with our viewers in those
I
languages.
hope so. I certainly hope so.
Okay. Now, before we start the program today, there are a couple of announcements that I want to make. One of the things which is very interesting is that I had an occasion to meet Congressman Caroline Maloney of New York, and she told me about this campaign that has been going on to get approval of the Congress or a particular committee which is responsible for this to issue a Diwali stamp, which will be a wonderful thing for the first time, recognizing Diwali as a festival. That will be a wonderful thing. And I must also acknowledge, I think, uh, Attorney Ravi Batra and Ranju Batra, both of them have been working very hard. I think they have collected maybe thousands of signatures and a petition. So we thank them also. But you should also, it's a good idea if you can write a letter or contact your congressman and support this cause. And hopefully by this Diwali, we may have a Diwali stamp. Isn't that wonderful, Lutka?
Definitely. That's a good idea.
Okay. Another announcement is that every year TNAC International Film Festival in TNAC has a 2 or 3 days of festival in which they show some documentaries which are very interesting. Some of them really relate to the conditions of the people, the issues that generally are not shown in the regular feature films. They also show feature films, and very interesting for you to understand or learn or to know this. This year, that's about November, I think, 16th or 17th, and we'll give you the exact date and the auditorium in our coming programs. They have agreed to show a wonderful movie, English Winglish. And I think our law firm did the visa work for them. So that will be very interesting. And if you are interested, you can go on the TNAC International Film Festival website and get all the information. And we welcome you, your friends, your family, bring them, see the movie, meet the people, and you'll find that 3 days program actually. You'll be seeing a lot of other documentaries and movies. It is in TNAC, New Jersey. Okay, the third announcement is not an announcement, but a piece of very important information is about the family second preference category, which is becoming current, and by the time you are watching the program, probably it will be the month of August, I believe, and the entire month of August you can file I-130 and a 485 application for adjustment of status of your spouse if you are a green card holder and your spouse is in a valid legal status. That's a very good option. You want to say a few words?
That's very important.
You want to say a few words about that?
Yes,
What's the
yes.
importance?
I just want to say that we do get many calls, and I want to emphasize that the applicant absolutely has to be in current legal status. That means that if you're in F status, you need to have valid I-20. It's not enough that you entered with the F status and you don't go to school. It's very important that you have valid status, whether it's H-1B, whether it's F-1, whether it's E-2 visa, just valid status. That's very important, actually.
Okay. Now, let's start with the core of the program today. Is a question that often comes when a person's visa is denied. It's denied because there are almost 32, 33 grounds of exclusion, what we call, in the immigration law. And if somebody falls in any of those categories, the American consul will say, I am denying your visa because of this reason. A very common thing generally is a fraud or misrepresentation. People that might have committed fraud or made a wrong statement or lied in order to get a visa for which he was not eligible, and the American consul is looking very closely any previous visa applications, any record with the immigration service, any record with the CBP at the time of interview, anywhere he finds that this person made a false representation, he will deny under section 6C. Do you know what is the penalty for that? 6C denial is a lifetime bar. For the rest of your life, that person cannot get any kind of visa for the United States. And first of all, we must say that please do not do any of those, not a good idea, because there are serious problems, consequences, and sometimes you may not even get a waiver. So don't do it. But if somebody has done it, what is the option? Some of the options that are available for some of the categories is called a waiver. Waiver, Hindi mein bolo to maafinama samajh lo. So basically for that I'm going to have Lutka to explain you first of all provisional waivers, and that I believe is only available for the 9B, which means the 10-year or 3-year bar coming from unlawful
Exactly.
presence. So explain to our viewers.
Exactly. That's very important to know that provisional waivers are available only for unlawful presence in admissibility. So it does not apply to fraud, as you just mentioned, definitely does not apply. That would be a regular waiver. So let's discuss provisional waiver. Provisional waiver was implemented on March 4th, 2013, so it's pretty new. It can be filed in the United States, but very important, the person has to have a qualifying relative, which is either a US citizen parent
Or
or
a spouse.
and not a child. That's common mistake.
You know, used to be, by the way, Lutka,
Yes.
it used to be many, many years ago, I've been practicing 40 years, child was included. And then the law changed, I think, 96 or so, and they took away the child. And once again, the comprehensive immigration reform bill that we are talking about, that is there.
And
so
it should be.
It should
It
be.
definitely should
and
be.
if that gets passed by the Congress,
Yes.
then that, but right now we are talking about today. Now, again, let me just clarify a little bit. Let us say that there is a person here who came illegally, right? And he gets married to a US citizen. And he's not eligible for Section 245I, which means having filed the petition before April 2001. I have people, you have people, you know, a lot of clients, a lot of people waiting.
Yes.
And they say, I'm married to a US citizen. Why cannot not apply for a green card? You can apply for a green card, but you cannot adjust the status. In the past, those people that were eligible for a waiver, and waiver is based upon extreme hardship, obviously, they had to go to India, Pakistan, wherever, and apply there. And the consul will then deny and put them in a bar. And they will apply for a waiver, but until the waiver was granted, they'll be stuck back home for years. And the waiver applications at those periods were decided by the Overseas Immigration Office, mostly the USCIS office in New Delhi, which has a jurisdiction over India, Nepal, and neighboring countries. Now, this provisional waiver that Lutka is going to further explain to you changed the whole situation. I believe now that person who cannot adjust still can apply. Like the wife citizen files for him, and petition is approved, and he goes back to the home country to apply. But the change is that now provisional waiver says you can get that waiver approved right in the US rather than being stuck back home.
It's definitely much better for people. It helps family unity because it was very risky for people to leave the United States, go to their home country, wait for a waiver approval, and then, as you said, if it's denied, then the person would be stuck outside of the United States.
So I have one more question on that. So you, Lutka Zimochek, a good immigration lawyer, gets the approval of the provisional. What you're going to do is to file an application here, show them that there are qualifying relatives, and show them extreme hardship also. That's one of the requirements. And that gets approved. Thank you very much. The club goes to India. He is looking at other issues as well. How did you go to US? Through the agent, cross the border, whatever. So the consul is trying to find out, can I charge this person for fraud, misrepresentation? And if he has a good basis and he does that,
They certainly
then what
can.
happens? Then that's the question. Then what happens?
They certainly can, and I'm very careful about this issue, so I do go through the history of clients' immigration history to make sure there is nothing, because that could certainly happen. They go for the interview, they're all happy because they have waiver approved, they're happy to come back to the US, and suddenly they're going to be stuck because the officer could find a different ground of inadmissibility. Let's say they committed a crime they forgot to mention to me,
Yes.
or they committed a fraud 20 years ago that they forgot to mention
Or
to
a prior deportation.
or prior deportation. That's a good one. So I'm very careful, and it's important for all attorneys to check the history of the clients. Crimes especially, because if the crimes were expunged, clients forget to mention
I
to
know,
us.
Lutka, you said important for attorneys. Unfortunately, our brethren, there are many lawyers who don't think of that. Oh,
Yeah.
provisional waiver is there, I'll get you a waiver, you go and get a visa in India. Come on, I mean, basically, you are putting in this guy in the lion's mouth.
Yes.
So this is very, very important thing that you must consult an experienced immigration attorney to make sure if you take that step, be prepared that if the council may charge you fraud, you may be stuck for a long, long time.
Yeah. And also be honest with your attorney. That's very important. So you have to tell us everything. All the fraud you might have committed in the past, or you think you committed, all the crimes.
Yeah. And this provisional waiver is only for the bars, 9B,
Yes.
not for a fraud or misrepresentation. So what happens in the case where a person, you got him a provisional waiver, he got stuck, and the council has charged him with a 6C fraud misrepresentation. Now that also, the waiver application can be filed or has to be filed in the US only. So
That's
we are out
correct.
of the problem that in New Delhi, what they may do, or Bangkok, what they may do. We are out of that. So question to you is, so client comes to you, your client is stuck there and you have to file a 601. What will you do in that? What are you looking at his qualifying? What are you looking in terms of evidence, documents? How can you satisfy the immigration service about getting the waiver approved?
Okay, so if the provisional waiver is approved and the consulate will find my client ineligible under a different ground, then I'm going to refile the waiver.
Again,
The good news is that it's the same extreme hardship. So if the provisional waiver was approved, the chances are that this new waiver is going to be approved, but unfortunately the client will have to wait for the new approval, and that could be several months.
Right.
So
and you're looking at what kind of documentation in order to prove the extreme hardship. What do you generally?
So the government looks at different factors. They do look at education of the petitioner. They look at the medical history. That's very important. If there are any issues, they do look at the country conditions.
Yeah.
They do look at
Depression.
employment.
Some people get depressed.
Yes, that's
and
part of the medical.
Part of the medical record. There are physically other problems. Parents are living in India. They're elderly and nobody take care of them. Family ties.
Family ties, very important. And I want to point out that we discussed that child is not a qualifying relative. But if child is sick and the U.S. citizen spouse absolutely has to take care of the sick child, then it's important.
It's an indirect way of like the
Exactly.
Listen, like that wife is here, and she's got 2 children. They're going to school, and she's also working. Extreme hardship is there.
Yes.
She's got to take care of. Sometimes she's taking care of the in-laws. Sometimes she's taking care of the little children. There are so many different angles, so many different things. It has to be fully documented. One thing I've been telling in the TV, all of our viewers, prepare the documents and a waiver application so strongly that when that immigration officer is looking, he has a tear in his own eye. Oh my God, this
That's
really deserves it, and then your application is approved. And then there are waivers also for other things, for a crime, sometimes for a person is convicted of something. HIV ground is no more there because the law changed and HIV is no longer a problem. But it's very complicated, it's very important. It is something that you don't just do yourself. It's very difficult for you to prepare a waiver application and file.
Yes.
Must consult an experienced lawyer, not just any lawyers. There are a lot of lawyers, unfortunately, our burden, we say they don't know, fill up a form and just mail it. I mean, we believe it. I saw a case, we filled the form and sent a check with it.
Yes, and if you do that and the case is denied, then our work is more difficult because we have to fix whatever was denied.
Thank you very much for being with us today, and thank all of you for watching the program. Please keep watching us every Saturday and Sunday only on ITV and Vision of Asia. Thank you very much and goodbye.